Taiwan's vice president visited Japan to offer his condolences over the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Chinese nationalists objected his visit and demanded their foreign ministry intervene. 3,000 rural folk in Henan, China cannot access their bank savings. They have taken to the streets to protest. It looks like Henan's economy may collapse. The U.S. Department of Commerce confirmed that the China Electronics Technology Corporation aided Russia in the Ukraine war. It is one of many Chinese companies helping Russia. Finally, Australia and China had discussions at the recent G20 meeting. China made 4 demands, and Australia refused them all. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Wolensak, and today is July 12th. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated on July 8th. Taiwan's Vice President Lai Ching-te made a surprise visit to Japan on July 11th. This is the highest Taiwanese government official to visit Japan in 50 years since Taiwan and Japan severed their official diplomatic relations in 1972. The news caused widespread anger amongst the Little Pinks, a sarcastic social media group that idolizes the Chinese Communist Party. According to Taiwanese media, Lai departed for Japan at 8 o'clock in the morning. After arriving in Japan, he was accompanied by Ambassador Xie Changting. He paid a visit to Abe's home to offer condolences. Lai Ching-te is expected to stay in Japan for 1 night, but there is a possibility he will attend Abe's funeral. Taiwan Foreign Ministry spokesperson Oh Jiangnan said that the Republic of China has expressed deep condolences to the Japanese people through appropriate channels. President Tsai, Executive Premier Su Zhenchang, and Foreign Minister Wu Zhaoxie all went to the Taipei office of the Japan-Taiwan Exchange Association on the morning of the 11th to offer condolences. However, when the news of Lai's Japan visit spread to mainland China, it angered several Little Pinks. They stated that Japan violated the One China principle. Now, the Little Pinks are urging the CCP's foreign ministry to intervene in the visit immediately. The Little Pinks angrily questioned, "Is it really okay to have a Taiwanese official visit Japan?" And, "What about the One China red line?" After Abe's death, dignitaries from many countries promptly expressed their grief and condolences on the same day. However, the CCP authorities were slow to react to the news. Xi Jinping expressed his condolences only on the next day. The Epoch Times commentator Xiao Yaozi stated that Xi's slow response seemed to show an indifference towards the sad news. In fact, some Chinese gloated over Abe's death. The spokesperson for the CCP's Foreign Affairs, Zhao Lijian, said that he would not comment on comments made by Chinese netizens. He also said that Abe's sudden death should not be linked to Sino-Japanese relations. But Xiao Yaozi pointed out that the CCP always makes certain the people are obeying its authority. Citizens of China face the strongest censorship in the world, especially on the internet. The CCP would react quicker if it was trying to stir nationalist feelings or trying to suppress freedom of expression. Zhao's lack of comments is really the CCP's acceptance of those gloating comments. Any other government would condemn such uncivilized behavior by its own citizens. However, the CCP's Zhao could only offer no comment. Zhao's response truly reflects the gap in civilized behavior between China and the rest of the world. It also further exposed the anti-humanity nature of the CCP. On July 10th, 3,000 depositors held banners and demonstrated in front of the People's Bank of China in Zhengzhou, Henan province. They are unable to withdraw money, and their savings may be gone. Agency France Presse commented that demonstrations are sporadic in a country where stability is the top concern, and the authorities tried to nip any protests in the bud. Despite the risk of arrest, Chinese people took to the streets to protest. In a country where the minimum wage is about $400 a month, people's money is hard-earned and they are desperate to protect it. Radio France International said that the savings in the banks could not be withdrawn. This is only seen in countries whose economy is on the verge of collapse, and China's Henan is showing cracks. Another unique feature is that the depositors shouted Li Keqiang, investigate Henan, at the scene, but did not ask Xi Jinping for help. The CCP's 20th National Congress is coming soon, where they will select their next leader. It is worth seeing whether the CCP infighting will take note of the depositors and whether it will even affect the CCP. In his latest live broadcast, the current affairs commentator Zhang Tianliang analyzed how the CCP is using unidentified people to suppress recent protests. Zhang Tianliang said in the past, the CCP used armed police to suppress protests, but not this time. In both Zhengzhou and Hong Kong, a group of unidentified men in white clothing beat protesters while the police stood by and did nothing. Zhang Tianliang articulates that from the Xuzhou Iron Chain Girl to the beating in Tangshan to the refusal to allow withdrawals by the village banks in Henan, the official handling of this series of incidents shows that no matter how many people care, no matter how angry the people are, and no matter how trivial the perpetrator is, the CCP is unwilling to resolve situations. The underlying logic is that the CCP believes that if even one of the humblest demands is satisfied, people will be encouraged to fight for more. The underlying logic is that the CCP believes that if even one of the humblest demands is satisfied, people will be encouraged to fight for more rights. Therefore, even if a conflict can be resolved, the CCP will not resolve it. Its hope is that the Chinese people will fall into despair and helplessness, become numb over time, and no longer fight. That is a world at peace. A Shandong depositor who did not protest due to work told Sound of Hope, "Some of our friends went there. They sent back many messages and videos that were brutal and scary. I heard that they hired security guards who were paid 2,000 yuan daily. People are watching to see if the depositors will get their money back." The U.S. Department of Commerce revealed last week that the China Electronics Technology Corporation, CETC, and its subsidiary Microelectronics Technology have supported and continue to support the Russian military since the implementation of the new defense controls. The U.S. Department of Commerce also revealed CETC's work with Russian companies in 2014, Kaspersky Lab in 2015, and Russian technology companies in 2017. The China Electronics Corporation, also known as CEC, is run by members of the Chinese Communist Party and is one of the largest defense companies of the Beijing authorities. In addition to CEC, a number of other CCP-controlled Chinese companies have been added to the entities sanctioned by the U.S. Department of Commerce for their continued support of Russia's military efforts since the imposition of export controls in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These Chinese companies include Konek Electronic, Kingpai Technology, Sino Electronics, Winnick Electronic, and logistics company World Jetta Logistics. All of these companies are known to be controlled by the Chinese Communist authorities and operate in China. This is not the first time CETC has been criticized by the U.S. The company was already sanctioned in 2020 for helping the communists militarize an internationally condemned artificial island in the South China Sea. In 2020, the Pentagon referred to the CEC as a communist Chinese military enterprise. The U.S. Department of the Treasury lists CEC as a Chinese Communist military-industrial complex company. In 2020, a 2021 Congressional Research Service report called CEC one of China's top state-owned defense enterprises. The FBI stated in 2020 that CEC is responsible for the procurement, development, and manufacture of electronic products for the Chinese CCP military. The FBI said in 2010 that CEC was responsible for the procurement, development, and manufacture of electronic products for the Chinese military. McCall criticized the White House for targeting the Chinese Communist Party behind China's military industry, rather than avoiding it. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi listed 4 demands of Australia to improve its relationship with Beijing last week. In response to the statement, Australia's new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, said Australia does not respond to demands and would continue to act according to the country's own national interests. Last Friday, Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong met with Wang Yi on the sidelines of the G20 meeting in Bali. It is the first such meeting between the two nations' top diplomats since 2019. Wong said they had a full and frank discussion after the years-long diplomatic freeze. Wang Yi issued a 4-point list of actions to repair diplomatic ties between Canberra and Beijing, including regarding China as a partner rather than a rival, seeking common ground while reserving differences, not targeting any third party or being controlled by any third party, and building positive and pragmatic social foundations. On Monday, July 11th, Albanese declared at a press conference in Canberra that Australia won't change its position on any contentious issues. He stated, "We will cooperate with China where we can, and I want to build good relations with all countries, but we will stand up for Australia's interests when we must." Albanese said any further warming in relations will require the trade sanctions on Australian exports to be lifted. In April 2020, the previous government under the Prime Minister Scott Morrison called for an international investigation into COVID-19. Beijing then imposed trade sanctions on a large number of Australian exports, including wine, barley, and coal. Since Albanese's centre-left Labour Party won a national election in May, Australia has now attempted to repair damaged relations with its largest trading partner, according to Bloomberg. Australia's Pacific Minister Pat Conroy said the current government welcomes increasing dialogue with China, but would continue to make the point that Australia hasn't changed, and stressed Canberra would not bend to pressure. Conroy said, "The attitude of the new Australian government is essentially the same as the last Australian government on the issue of China and their increasing assertiveness in the region." He added, "There is a strong desire for everything to go through a regional approach, to approach the Pacific Island Forum rather than go to individual countries trying to seek agreement on these issues." According to the New Zealand Herald, Albanese, Conroy, and Senator Wong will all head to Fiji this week for the Pacific Island Forum, where China and climate change will be the top of the agenda. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you tomorrow.